please leave if you have to at any time. Please ask questions by typing into the chat. The presentation of the Morning Bell Chant here has 8 sections. I'll actually read through the text, perhaps say a few words in addition, and take questions at the end of each of these 8 sections. So please, again, keep yourself muted. This is being recorded, and it's very difficult to edit out the questions, and it's our policy, not to identify anyone who has asked a question. So we'll start. Again, I'm reading from the text that I hope you have before you, that you downloaded from the website. The Morning Bell Chant is practiced in the Quantum School of Zen, combines 3 major Buddhist traditions: Huayan, Hua-Om, as Koreans pronounce it, Hua-Om Buddhism, Pure Land Buddhism, and Zen Buddhism. Huayan Buddhism is based on the Avatamsaka Sutra, the most comprehensive of all the Mahayana sutras, and one that presents the Bodhisattva ideal of universal liberation in truly cosmic terms. Huayan Buddhism was both a philosophical school and a mass movement within Buddhism in China and Korea. Huge societies would form to chant the Avatamsaka Sutra, which runs to over 1,600 pages in English translation. So it takes about 2 weeks, to chant the whole thing. Pure Land Buddhism is still the most popular form of Buddhism in the world, in Vietnam, Tibet, China, Korea, Japan, and in the Western world. The central figure in Pure Land Buddhism is Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light. The name actually means unlimited, Avita, unlimited, and the original Sanskrit ending is BHA. It's confusing to have BUL because we use that for Buddha. That's the Korean pronunciation for Buddha. So the name means infinite light. Who, eons ago, established a Western Pure Land, an ideal environment in which to practice and get enlightenment, a land open to everyone who chants this Buddha's name. Original Pure Land Buddhism also involved meditation practice. And in China, around the year 1000, there developed a Pure Land Zen school. So it tends to be syncretic, actually. And it was about this time, about 1,000 years ago, maybe a little later, that the Morning Bell Chant, or its ancestor, was created. And the chant is here divided into sections to make its structure clear. The translation in italics is freely adapted from an early version used in the Quantum School of Zen that had Zen Master Sung San's blessing. And the literal meaning of each Chinese Korean word is given as an aid to understanding the meaning and also to experience the chant directly. You can learn what each of these Chinese words means. And that's the best way to experience the chant. So we tend to use our chants as if they were entirely mantras. That is efficacious only in their very sound. In this practice, perceiving sound, Quan that's the name of our school of Zen, the perceived sound school, can be deepened by learning the meaning of a chant word by word. And the monosyllabic nature of Chinese words aids this process. Each bullet of sound has a complete meaning that can more easily penetrate our consciousness. So the first part is the bell gatha. You can follow along, seeing word by word the meaning. I'll just read the I'll alternate between the word-for-word translation and the more fluent translation. How this bell sound fills the Dharma world, making all the hell of dark metal bright, relieving the three realms of suffering, shattering the hell of swords. All many beings attain correct enlightenment. All beings become enlightenment, just hearing the sound of the bell. So the chant begins with a gatha, which is a short poem that connects everyday occurrences in our lives to a bodhisattva vow. When I showed the Chinese text of the morning bell chant to a monk from Taiwan, he said that he had learned this gatha, this first part of the chant, when he was young, in exactly the same Chinese words as in the chant, but he had never seen the rest of the chant. He said he was taught to say the gatha whenever he heard the sound of any bell. The evening bell chant is another such gatha. If we have time at the end, we can look briefly at the evening bell chant as well. That material is also, and I hope you downloaded it, available on the website. And it's very easy to see the connection of the evening bell chant with the four great vows. And this is something you can easily do yourself just looking at the keywords, but maybe we'll get to it. In the morning bell chant, our vow or intention or wish goes out with the sound of the bell through the whole universe. And the vibrations shatter the metallic hells that imprison us and perpetuate our suffering. And once these dark realms are broken open, the radiance of the universe pours through and all beings become enlightened. So the gatha expresses a vow to save all beings, but it also presents a metaphor for our own practice, the practice of opening our minds. So that's the first section, and I don't see any questions, so we'll move on to the second section, which has to do with Vairocana. Namu Biro Gyoju Wajang Jajang. Namu, as in the very familiar Namaste, means become one. So do this, that's Namu, Namaste. So become one with Vairocana, Lotus World Master, Great Love, Holy One. It's actually Vairocana, teaching master. Gyo is teaching. Flower, womb, love, Lord. So Vairocana is the cosmic Buddha who presides over the assembly, which consists of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas from infinite time and space. The assembly in the Huayan Sutra, although he himself never speaks. Numerous wonderful Bodhisattvas do all the talking. So Vairocana, like Amitabha, is also a Buddha of light. And he radiates light like a quasar. Every photon contains countless Buddhas. He is constantly birthing Buddhas from the flower womb of the universe. And he is the universe itself. So this primordial Buddha is the Buddha of the Avatamsaka Sutra, the flower adornment sutra. So that's what Avatamsaka means. And that's what Huayan means also, kind of flower adornment. So the universe as this infinite bouquet is presented to us. So that's Huayan. Buddhism introduced. Any questions here? I don't see any. So the third section takes us into the Avatamsaka Sutra. We just met Vairocana, who presides over the assembly that preaches the Avatamsaka Sutra. And now we have a little of the Avatamsaka Sutra. Expound the treasured verses of the golden text. Open the carnelian case of the jade scroll. So we have a ritual being enacted here, taking the scroll out of its case, the precious scroll out of its precious case. Every dust particle interpenetrates. I love the Chinese here. Dust, dust, mix, enter. And very direct. Then moment, moment, completely fuse. Every moment contains every other moment. And then a very long number. This is the number of words in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Somebody counted them. So it's a long sutra. So it's 100,095,048 words. I wonder who did that, you know. So that's the whole sutra. One vehicle, complete teaching. So the Avatamsaka Sutra is considered to be the most comprehensive Buddhist sutra. So it's the one vehicle, the only one you need. You know, you don't need a whole garage full of sutras. You know, it's this one will do fine. And then another Namu, become one, Namu, with the great wide Buddha, De Bang, great wide direction. It's a word we don't actually need when we translate it. Become one with the great wide Buddha, the Avatamsaka Sutra. So here the sutra itself is a being. It's regarded as a being, as an enlightened and enlightening being. So we enact this ritual virtually. We open the sutra itself, which is a golden text on jade scrolls that we take out of a carnelian case. And this opening, the opening of the case and the unrolling of the scrolls is a metaphor for opening our minds. So as soon as the sutra is opened, boom, out comes its fundamental teaching. Dust, dust, mix, enter, moment, moment, completely fuse. Every particle in the universe interpenetrates every other particle. And we always pay homage to Thich Nhat Hanh's great coinage, interbeing is the nature of the universe. The text of the sutra contains millions of words and constitutes the complete teaching of the great wide Buddha, the cosmic Buddha, as identical with that Buddha. The Buddha is the universe, is his teaching. They are not different. Still no questions. You must be absorbing this very well. Go ahead. Then, section 4. The first poem and the mantra of shattering hell. There will be several other poems, and we'll talk about those. Let's see. Now, Jonathan says that there are, oh my gosh, there are 5 questions that I've completely overlooked. And now where did they go? I wish we could talk. There's the chat. That's not what we want. And I used this stanza for our wedding vows. When Zen Master Sung San performed our wedding downtown in the Eldridge Hotel, we said this. And we liked very much that you and I simultaneously attained the way of Buddha. So I'm going to tell you something that none of you probably have ever noticed practicing with this, but when we come to Jata Ilshi, I'm usually sitting next to Judy, and at Jata, I kind of lean over towards her a little bit, just remembering our vows, becoming one. So you might want to look for that sometime. I don't think I've ever told Judy that, though. Okay, and then maybe I've said everything that's written out here, but let's read through this to make sure I've covered everything. The first two of these three poems, there are as many as 7 in longer versions. This is the official Korean Buddhist chanting book, and you can see it's all just Hangul characters. And the first item in this book is the Morning Bell Chant. And there are actually 9 poems. There's 2 more poems that could pass as Zen poems, and the rest are more along the lines of this third poem. So it was, and that's how it's chanted in Korea. And when Zen Master Sung San formulated this for our practice, he decided these 3 certainly represented, those 9 in some way. And we didn't need all 9. And so, we have these 3. And I've been intending to translate them for 20 years, and maybe I'll get around to it. I don't know. Okay, so they're in origin Zen poems, composed in China sometime around Tang Dynasty time, 11th, 12th century, sometime, Song or Tang. And both poems have a similar structure, moving from an expression of the emptiness and universality of original nature to an acute awareness of the present moment. And the second poem is particularly successful in that it combines in its last line the poignant just now quality of the cry of the geese with the open experience of the vast emptiness of the sky. So the absolute and the phenomenal become one. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. And we can only attain this by being with all beings without hindrance, as the first poem puts it. So the third poem, in the form of a vow, continues the theme of profound action in unison, plunging us together with all beings into Amitabha's ocean of vows, to use every opportunity to work for universal liberation. And the last line of the poem, which is also chanted to a different melody, the last line of the homage to the 3 jewels, you can look that up easily, expresses once more the experience of unity and mutuality in our practice. Self and other, you and I are not separate. Our attainment of the Buddha way, our enlightenment, can only be simultaneous. So each of the poems is punctuated with a strike of the bell and followed by a repetition of the mantra, Namo Amitabha, framing each poem as a little meditation exercise, returning us to actual practice and providing an efficacious moment in which to wake up. Section 7, the Pure Land. So become one with the Western Pure Land, a land of utmost bliss. Sometimes the sutra is a famous Pure Land sutra. There are 3, and one of them is called Sukhavati. So sukha is the opposite of dukkha. So dukkha is suffering, sukha is bliss. And the va means like full of bliss. So that's this land, a world of utmost bliss. Then we have a big number. The 36,119,500 names of the Buddha are all the same name, but who's counting, right? Great love, great compassion, Deja, Devi, Amida Buddha. Become one with the Western Pure Land, a world of utmost bliss. This Buddha's body is long and wide. That's because it is the universe. This auspicious face is without boundary. It's not limited. And this golden color shines everywhere, pervading the entire universe. And the Chinese says the Bokye, the Dharma world, which is the real world, the world as it is, the complete world, the entire universe. 48 vows to save all sentient beings. And we'll talk about those vows in the commentary that follows. But he took 48 vows to save all sentient beings. So no one can say, nor say its opposite, no one can say, because this Buddha is like the Ganges' innumerable grains of sand. So a poetic way of expressing, this infinite beings, or the infinite moments in all time, or innumerable dust particles. And then very charmingly put, or countless blades of grass. And the way the Chinese puts it, rice, hemp, bamboo, reeds. That's countless blades of grass is a pretty weak translation. But anyway, no limit, extreme number, numberless number. And then the same number as before, except it's 10 times as large. And the commentary addresses that insofar as it can be addressed. So same name, same meaning. All the names of the Buddha are the same name, just as all the particles in the universe are the same particle. Great love, great compassion. Deja, Devi. Our original teacher. Gold form thus come, Namu Amitabha. Homage to the golden Tathagata. Tathagata is an epithet of the Buddha. And it means literally thus come. The Tatha is thus, and the God is come or go. So the thus come one. And Namu Amitabha, here repeated, and I think it's correct, 5 times at the end. So we had those 7 repetitions, 5 repetitions here, and the various repetitions at the ends of the poem. And we have a concluding mantra. Bonchim Mimyo Jinon. Original, mind, sublime, mystic, true words. And the mantra is Om Aridara Sabaha. This Danyata is not part of the mantra. It's a garbled pronunciation of the Sanskrit word that means something like go like this. Goes like this. I'm trying to remember exactly how the Sanskrit word is spelled, and I can't quite now. This drove it out of my mind. You find it quite often. It's in the Thousand Eyes and Hand Sutra as well, and it's just it's a misunderstanding. It is Sanskrit, and the mantra is Sanskrit, and I think that's the cause of the confusion. But what it actually should read as the mantra of original mind sublimity goes like this. And it's translatable, and mantras are not translatable. So the 7th section of the morning bell chant takes us to the Pure Land that Amitabha established in the West by virtue of his 48 vows. And one of his vows is that anyone who recites his name sincerely will be reborn in the Pure Land, there to receive his guidance and be prepared for enlightenment. And so Amitabha is our great teacher, an embodiment of great love and great compassion, Deja, Devi. Amitabha's Western Pure Land is a spiritual realm, sometimes called a Buddha field. Bulcha appeared in the chant. But note that the same word chal in other contexts can be translated as moment. And it is the same word, not just a homonym, a word that sounds alike. Time and space being expressed by the same word. So in the Huayan Sutra, each of the innumerable Buddhas presides over a Buddha field. And all of these Buddha fields interpenetrate each other, since they are all coexistent and coextensive, time and space, with the universe. And these Buddha fields are as innumerable as the grains of sand in the Ganges, or dust particles, or blades of grass colorfully expressed, as we notice, rice, hemp, bamboo, reeds. In the same way, all the various names of the Buddhas expressed by the large numbers that we had. The second of which is inexplicably 10 times larger than the first. If you compare them, you'll see there's an extra zero. No one can explain that. I don't know what it means. Unless by the time you get to that part of the chant, there are 10 times more Buddhas, as many as there were 20 seconds ago. And it keeps going like that. I don't know. I tend to think of it as a typo, a Chinese typo. So in this section of the chant, all these reduced to the same name, all of these billions of names. So Vairochana and Amitabha, the two Buddhas we have met in this chant, and all of the Buddhas are all the same Buddha. And all of these Buddhas and Buddha fields are none other than our own minds. And this deep teaching is driven home in the chant's concluding section. The mantra of original mind's sublimity. This mantra recalls the line earlier in the chant, all things are made by mind alone. So what does all this have to do with Zen practice? Zen practice is a deep investigation of the mind. As Mumun said, Buddhism takes mind. Mumun compiled the Mumun Kwan, the 48, the collection, classic collection of 48 koans. All things are made by the mind alone. So Zen practice is a deep investigation of the mind. As Mumun said, Buddhism takes mind as its foundation. Sorry, I confused those expressions. The expedient means that Buddhism has developed to bring us to our mind's foundation include the sutras, poetry and philosophy that are epitomized in our chanting, especially in the morning bell chant. And Zen schools have always used and still use today these expedient means freely and in the spirit of genuine practice to instill the essential teachings of Buddhism into the body minds of practitioners. So you can, of course, regard all the chants as pure sound. And a mantra like a dharani, which is really a long mantra, is pure sound. So the great dharani chant, although people have tried to translate it, and the interesting thing is that 3 or 4 people have translated. They all come up with completely different translations. Depends on how you glom the syllables together and try to make words out of them. And originally, the great dharani was a long mantra. It's pure sound. So you can treat each of our chants in that way. But a chant such as the morning bell chant, I think deserves to be understood as it's chanted, deserve on many levels to be understood. So that's why I, undertook this. All of this was originally published in 2 issues of Primary Point. I can't say that it's really caught on in the Quantum School of Zen. Most people really don't know what they're chanting. That's another reason why I produced our chanting book, which has the interlinear translation, the literal meaning of each word without trying to put any grammar into it. So each word, at least you know what each word means, and it's enough to create significant meaning. And each word is a bullet of sound that enters your consciousness, not just as a sonic vibration, which itself can be very efficacious. That's why we have mantras, but as a really deep Buddhist teaching. We may eventually have a class on the Thousand Eyes and Hands Sutra, which consists of mantras and vows. I like to think of it as vows together with mantras that empower us to fulfill the vows. So there's a nice harmonic tension there in the Thousand Eyes and Hands Sutra, and it has some magnificent stuff in it that has to be studied and unpacked to understand. And, let's see, I'm looking for another question. Are you going to talk about the evening bell chant? Why don't I do that right now, because we have a few more minutes. In fact, it's barely 11 o'clock now. So if you have, as I don't know where I put it, the 4 great vows and the evening bell chant, let's compare them. The evening bell chant contains phrases from 3 of the 4 vows. So we can have a little study session here. I guess it's best if you look at the 4 great vows first, okay, and look at the transliteration, how it's pronounced, in other words, and the spelling of those transliterations. We use the same spelling, transliterating those in the evening bell chant. So, Munjang Song Bonnet Dan. You see Bonnet Dan anywhere? So where is Bonnet Dan? So that's the second vow. Delusions cut. Now that word delusions is not a satisfactory translation. Bonnet are the kleshas. It's translating the Sanskrit word klesha. And there are many kleshas, and there are many different lists of kleshas. But any piece of junk that floats into your mind, you can call that a klesha. Delusions is an attempt to be as comprehensive as one single word can be, but it's not really comprehensive. So any kind of consternation, obsession, delusion, whatever you can think of, any negative emotional state that prevents you from seeing things clearly, we've ought to cut through them. So in the evening bell chant, you hear the sound of the bell, boom, there go the kleshas. So that's how you use sound in practice. Perceive the sound of the bell. The kleshas get cut through. Then Jihe Jaham, Jiok, any of that, excuse me. losing my voice. But do any of those phrases occur in the Four Great Vows? I don't think so. So, we hit the bell and go on. So, sang a wan song bull. How about wan song bull? Yeah, that means vow become Buddha, vow attain Buddhahood. And then the very next phrase, do jung sang. So do jung sang, save the many beings. So we have the essence of three of the four great vows in the evening bell chant. So which one don't we have? What we don't have is the third, exactly. Dharma gates are limitless. We vow to learn them all. And the verb is hak, which means learn. So it must mean teachings, the Dharma gates. You can think of a Dharma gate, though, instead of Dharma as teaching. The broader meaning of Dharma is reality. And so every moment of reality is like a gate. And you either pass through that gate or you don't even see it, or you bump into the post or whatever, But the idea is penetrate right through. So I don't know why that is not in the evening bell chant. But the mantra that ends, Pajiyokjion, the mantra of shattering hell. That is, it certainly recalls the morning bell chant, shattering the walls of the self that imprison us, cut us off from the rest of the universe, from all beings. And then we have that particular mantra of shattering hell, ending the evening bell chant. Now, the evening bell chant, is something that's done solo in our practice. And so most people never learn it unless they know they're going to do it at group practice. But I strongly recommend memorizing the evening bell chant as it's chanted. If you practice in the evening and you do the evening bell chant, you've done the vows, not exactly the four great vows, but you've done the vows, and you've actually chanted. So you have chanting and vows in 6 lines. And that's pretty economical. And learn what each word means. And as you chant it, take those vows. Take the whole thing seriously. That's why we do these vows, it's not just, well, this is pretty cool, so let's do it. We establish the direction of our practice, the direction of our lives. And the morning bell chant does that, writ large, you might say. So it's easy to find a recording of the evening bell chant. It's on our website. It's easy to learn. And I really strongly recommend it as a regular part of your evening practice. Of course, the morning bell chant is wonderful to do. If you do the morning bell chant, that's the only chant we do together now in our practice. So Tuesday and Thursday mornings we do the morning bell chant. One of the Zoom members actually does it with a bell and chants it. And we can't chant together on Zoom because it's cacophony. But we're all chanting ourselves with our mics muted and seeing the lips move for other people chanting. And I strongly recommend chanting the morning bell chant with the chanting book that has the interlinear translation, so that you actually know what you're chanting. It takes a little getting used to. You're going through the chant and there's this interlinear translation that's not grammatical because it's just the words, It's grammatical in Chinese, I guess you could say, but not what we're used to. But give it a try. And it's true. I've certainly experienced, and many other people have, these individual, Chinese words, the meaning of it, do penetrate your consciousness. And that's transformative and really cuts through a lot of stuff. So anyway, that's what I'm recommending. And I'm here is something to everyone. In case you're not seeing it, the Amitabha and Pure Land appear to have been created to give practitioners an identifiable goal, a place and a being. Yeah, the Western Pure Land, for instance, to achieve. And is a rather superficial trivialization of the realization of the interpenetration of all dust particles and fields of the universe. I don't quite know what is meant by a superficial trivialization of the realization, except that any way you express it in any kind of language doesn't nearly measure up to what's being pointed to here, and you have to experience that for yourself. And I think that takes care of all of the questions, unless somebody wants to type another one right now. And here's one. Why bells? Yeah, do bells have a symbolism in Buddhism? So we have the evening bell chant uses a bell, and the morning bell chant uses a bell. And the big, I don't know if you've ever experienced a big temple bell. Our temple bell at the Kansas Zen Center is a very small temple bell. It's all we could afford. I bought it in Korea myself in person at some little Buddhist shop, and the good bells were $5,000, and this one was $500, and the really good ones are very heavy, and this was carry-on luggage for me, this bell. So after I bought the bell, I went to another store and bought a suitcase for it and crammed it in. It's not bad, but the big temple bells, especially if you're nearby, those vibrations go right through you. I mean, it's just an amazing experience. The wah-wah is in your gut, and you can physically feel it. So I think that the use of the bell has a lot to do with that strong vibration sensation, that your whole being is being penetrated. And you can, with any kind of imagination, imagine that these vibrations are shattering, all of our internal walls, all of the walls of hell. I've been thinking of springing for a real bell. What do you think? Should we get, I might do it. I have to probably get permission from the guiding teacher. It's also the Minister of Finances in our family. But maybe it can be done. It'll take a few weeks to get here, but it certainly can be shipped, and it's not a problem. And we'll need someone to build a stand for it. Jan Shockey built the beautiful stand we have for our current bell. And he's very, very good. And we have a cabinet maker, Doug, at our Sangha. These guys could build a stand. So I will pass on the word that this particular Sangha, and this Morning Bell Chant Sangha, really wants a real bell. Come on, let's get with it. So thank you very much. So let's see, anything else? Where would we put it, and what would the neighbors say? We'd put it right where the current bell is. It would fit. So the temple at the Providence Zen Center, for instance, if you've been there, has a real bell. Providence Zen Center also has an outdoor bell with a bell tower, and maybe that's what the questioner is thinking of. And that, we couldn't do that. The neighbors would not appreciate the vibrations, probably. So the big sort of bell that, fits in a dormer room. So what we have is not bad. Let's, anyway, keep doing bell chants. Get a bell. So a regular bowl bell is a good one, is one that is about 8 inches or more, the mouth. 8 inches and above, you get a pretty good sound. And they're $300 or $400. It's an order of magnitude better if you can get a 12-inch bowl for several $1,000s. But anyway, some of you might have a lot of money. I don't know. Maybe we need a donation for our bell. If anyone has a lot of money. It's been wonderful visiting with you. It really has. I really appreciate it. This is our Sangha, and I see all your faces, and I get pretty emotional about it. So thank you. Thank you all very much.